Whether it's Lost in Space or The Sound of Music or Make Room for Daddy, chances are everyone listening to this right now in one way or another grew up enjoying Angela Cartwright's performances on television and in movies. And considering it's my birthday today, I can think of no better birthday treat than to have Angela Cartwright as our guest today.
Happy birthday. I didn't even know.
And had you known, you would have baked a cake. But I digress. You know, I would think that if you were making a personal appearance or fans were just recognizing you, that you must get people from all ages who know your work, because the projects you've been involved in are part of pop culture.
Well, I do know Danny Thomas is showing again, and I think Lost in Space, it never ends. It just keeps going round and round on some network. You know what? I can always tell how old someone is by the show that they come up and they've seen. I mean, you know, if you're a Danny Thomas fan and you enjoyed those shows, it was fun to see some of them again because they aren't out on DVD. And Cozy TV has been playing them. So that was really cool to see all those old shows. We had some wonderful guests.
Who were some of your favorite guest stars on the Danny Thomas Show?
Oh, my goodness. Well, Lucille Ball, Desi Arnaz did several. The later ones, we had Diana Ross, we had Perry Como, we had Frank Sinatra, we had Bing Crosby and Bob Hope, and I know Andy Griffith made his kind of debut on our show, and then that spun off onto a show. Same with Joey Bishop. They're just, I don't know, it's just endless. And when you watch them, Gail Gordon was one of my very favorites. He was hilarious, and I just loved him as a kid. And it's fun to see him again. His voice was so specific. You know, we were just a hip show at the time, and it kind of worked into the theme of the show.
There have been some great bloopers that have surfaced from Make Room for Daddy, including one that I watched recently on YouTube where there were a bunch of dogs on the set.
Yeah.
And poor little you, I mean, you were about the size of a peanut at the time, and you're holding on to these dogs who are dragging you around the set.
I know. And the show was done live. I actually think that blooper was shown on a Dick Clark special, and that's one reason that it's out there, you know, on YouTube or whatever. But we did the show live in front of a live audience every Thursday night. You never knew what was going to happen, and even I laugh when I see some of these things. You know, when I'm really young, because I started when I was 4 on the show, there's certain things I remember, you know, like the dishes, or I remember the set, or I remember the color of the dress I was wearing. As I get older, I remember specific scenes and things that happened. Kids today, of course, have, you know, movies, and they have their images on their phones growing up that their parents have taken. But I had that as a kid because I was on television, so I had like these home movies that were out there for everybody to see.
Daddy? I want to be a chorus girl.
Daddy's very busy right now, so don't bother me. You can be a chorus girl when you grow up.
But I want to be a chorus girl now.
Don't be silly. Whoever heard of a 6-year-old chorus girl?
Well, couldn't you lie about my age?
Darling, look, we've got all the chorus girls we can use right now, but I'll let you know if there's an opening.
Yeah, I know. Don't call me, I'll call you.
And what's amazing to me is that you've amassed an incredible collection of mementos and memorabilia from your time with Danny Thomas, and it's all on your website, angela-cartwright.com.
Well, you know, it's just the tip of the iceberg, because every time I go and visit my parents, they give me another box. They're kind of unloading it on me, but it's like Christmas every time I look through it. I just found a birthday card that Danny Thomas had given me when I was 5 years old. I'm going to be posting that on my Facebook page. It's just cool. I mean, that's just, you know, I really like memorabilia and old stuff, and it kind of brings back memories. But I'm constantly working on my website, and I do know how to do it myself, so it's kind of fun to put together.
Yeah, I imagine so. And you've also got a lot of memorabilia and photos from the classic 1965 musical, The Sound of Music. You know, this film, and obviously it was a stage musical before that, but the film itself has taken on a life of its own in theaters now, where people get together and dress up as the Von Trapp family and sing along to the movie. And this happens a lot in big cities. I know it happens in Los Angeles, and they do it in New York City. Are you aware of this phenomenon?
Oh, yeah. I've been to several of them.
Did this happen
really
organically?
They really are. I mean, I probably have seen this movie hundreds and hundreds of times, but it doesn't matter. It's just fun. The thing about Sound of Music is it's just gone from generation to generation, because the adults now, their kids are in plays and stuff that, every kid has probably who's been in theater has been in a production of The Sound of Music, because it did have 7 roles for kids to be in, which is always great. I mean, my daughter played Maria, and my son played Kurt and the captain. It's amazing. But you know what? It is a wonderful movie. It's beautiful to watch. I always get sucked in when it's on television. If I flip the channel and I see it, I stop.
Right. Our guest this week on the Vintage Rock and Pop Shop is actress Angela Cartwright, and we just heard the original theme to Lost in Space, the one for the first 2 seasons. And Angela, can I make my Lost in Space confession to you?
I guess so.
I had a crush on Penny Robinson like every other red-blooded American boy out there. But this was a show that also traumatized me.
Oh.
Because it was a family lost in space. They could never get back home, and they'd land on a planet, and something awful would happen, usually to the kids.
Oh, you were always a deep thinker.
And Dr. Smith made me anxious, and, but it's a wonderful show, and of course it's another one of those ones that never goes away.
Yeah, the funny thing about Lost in Space is it really captured people's imagination at the time. Going up into space, living up there, being on a planet, a family going up there. It really did capture people's imaginations. And I get that all the time. There was actually a trip we made to NASA when the Discovery took off. Bill Mooney was with me and Marta Kristen, and we were able to take our boys with us on this particular trip that we took. And the people in NASA told us how Lost in Space had made such an impact on their lives and made them want to go into the space program. I mean, that's really amazing that a show would have such an impact on people. I hear it all the time.
Yeah, there were budding geniuses out there watching who thought to themselves, I bet I could make the Jupiter 2 really work.
That's when kids really did use their imaginations, I love that, and I love that a show kind of captured that.
We talked a few moments ago about your collection of memorabilia that you have displayed on your website, once again, angela-cartwright.com, and I, like you presumably, am a big fan of the golden age of Hollywood. And I want to see lobby cards and scripts and photos I've never seen before. I want to get my hands on all this material. So whenever there's a book on the golden age of Hollywood, I buy as many as I can, because I operate under the delusion that if I get all of these books about classic Hollywood, that somehow it'll come back. So, and this book, that's a long shot, I know, but this book, Styling the Stars, Treasures from the 20th Century Fox Archive, filled with photos that the public have never seen before. How did this project come about?
Well, I was in the archives finding some photos for the Sound of Music family scrapbook, which was a book the 7 Sound of Music kids put together with some of their memorabilia. And I happened to be down in the archives at 20th, and I came across some pictures I'd never seen before. And the quality was so beautiful on them. I remember having wardrobe pictures taken. Every piece of wardrobe that we wore, the photographer with a big camera, big analog, it was all film, shot pictures just for continuity purposes. So these pictures were never meant to be seen by the public. And I got to thinking, they do this on every movie ever made because the wardrobe department and hair have to have continuity pictures so they can match stuff. I bet there's other pictures in there. And so I talked to the archivist there, and he showed me some of the stuff that he had, and that was just the beginning of a 2.5-year journey into photos of major stars and all these movies and just never before seen photographs. It was very trippy thing to go through and see all this stuff, boxes with like dust on them that hadn't been opened in 30 years.
Wow.
It was very cool.
And, as you mentioned, there's photos that people haven't seen. I saw a little bit of a preview of the book, and there was a photo of Anne Margaret, and I thought to myself, how is it possible that there's a photo of Anne Margaret I've never seen? Because I'm that much of a fanatic. Well, they were never released to the public because they weren't, for posters or they weren't for publicity. They were merely for the people that were on the set. And it's funny, I did this book with Tom McLaren, who is a memorabilia freak like yourself. Right.
And the two of us kind of went through all this stuff, and he's a huge Anne Margaret fan. So he would, gasp every time he would see a picture he'd never seen before. And it was kind of cool, because there's some really neat ones of her. And you also, I think when you look at these pictures, really see the magic that these actors and actresses had. Some of them are in character when they pose for these pictures, even though they're standing in front of, a curtain or just the side of the stage. I mean, I can remember, having the wardrobe department just kind of grab me and say, okay, just, stand, and there you had the clapboard, and they had your name written on it and the character you played in the scene. And then they would just take the picture and you'd be free. It's only a couple minutes.
Right.
I can remember, you're not always in character, but it's funny how Jane Mansfield had this look about her, where she's in character, or, there's Cary Grant, there's Clark Gable, Paul Newman, who was such a clown in all of his pictures. He's kind of pulling a funny face. Marlon Brando, everybody, Liz Taylor, had to pose for these pictures.
And I should mention that the cover of the book has a photograph of Marilyn Monroe, and this photo proves she never took a bad picture.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. She was a beauty, that's for sure. There's several pictures of Marilyn in the book that we found. So it's certainly a project I'm excited about and thrilled that Insight Editions picked it up to publish it. And it's a big coffee table book, perfect for the holidays. And it's just like 300 pages.
Right, beautiful black and white photos.
Yes, and there are a few color ones
in
color,
there. Yeah.
Yeah, like Victor Mature in the torture chamber outfit, Richard Burton in his gladiator outfit. Those are in color. So every page is kind of magic. And
with a foreword by Maureen O'Hara, have to mention that.
Who I love and was, so kind to do that. She was in, Miracle on 34th Street,
yeah.
which certainly is a favorite, and we have several pictures from that movie.
I want to thank you so much for coming on and chatting with us, not only about some of your acting projects, but also this new book. And this is a book I'm definitely going to get, and I want to recommend this to my listeners as well, especially fans that are old Hollywood buffs, that remember when the big studios were dream factories as opposed to money factories today, although some money was made. Let's not kid ourselves. But Styling the Stars is the book. And do we have a release date for it?
I think it's October 7th. I am doing a book signing at Barnes & Noble on the 9th of October at the Grove in Los Angeles. So it better be there before that.
Okay. And I'll tell you what, I hope someone at TCM contacts you and has you on to talk about it, because what a venue that would be also, to talk about this book.
It's right up their alley, I'll tell you.
It certainly is. Well, thank you so much, and you have a great rest of your day.
Well, thanks. Lovely talking to you.